Hey, what's going on guys, this is Mac, and in today's video we're doing a farming overview of the Infernal Hordes and see how many items, gold and crafting materials you can expect to farm in this new endgame activity. Let's get to it. Alright, before we have access to the Infernal Hordes, we first need to finish the seasonal quest in World Tier 3 and craft or farm these Infernal Compasses, which will open the Infernal Hordes. You can craft these compasses at the Oculus or you can farm them in the Hell Tides and also will drop from Whisper Cache and from the Mother's Gift rewards. In addition, you will find the Abyssal Scrolls, which can be used to increase the tier of the Infernal Hordes by 1 up to tier 8, without you having to go back to the Oculus and craft the tier level you need. Aether is going to drop in the Infernal Hordes by completing the events spawning during each wave, killing elites, and from your selection of boon and banes. And I will make another video explaining what is the best selection for the boons and banes that will give you the most Aether. Once you finish fighting this different wave, you will move to fight the Fell Council, and when you defeat them, 4 chests will spawn. One that will give you legendary items, one that also gives you legendary items but with a GA guarantee, one that gives you crafting materials, and the last one that gives you gold. Now to the fun part. How many items, crafting materials and gold can we get per run? Well, it depends. And it will depend on how much Aether you can collect, and that's determined by the boons and banes you pick and how fast you can kill the mobs. But let's go and take a look at our data. First, let's go over the materials chest. When opening the material chest, we get a bunch of crafting materials like Angel Breath, Bundle of Herbs, Fragmented Gems, and most importantly, Neathiron for Masterwork. And we're gonna focus on the Neathiron. In the Infernal Hordes tier 7, I was able to do 4 runs in an hour, and here's how much Aether I gathered per hour. So a total of 2300 Aether, and that yield 2900 Neathiron. And in Infernal Hordes tier 8, again, I was able to do 4 runs per hour, and that gave me 2900 Aether, which I turned into 4400 Neathiron. This is way better system than farming the pits non-stop. Now, one thing that I want you to pay attention is these columns here, the fixed one. So 100 Aether is going to give you 125 Neathiron in the Infernal Hordes tier 7. And in the tier 8, 100 Aether is going to give you 150 Neathiron. These are better numbers for you to keep in mind when farming these different tiers to have an idea of how much Neathiron you're going to get at the end of your run. Now, for how much gold we can make in an hour in the Infernal Hordes, in tier 7 I was able to make almost 300 millions per hour, and that was by collecting 2200 Aether, and we can see here that 1 Aether is equal to roughly 132,000 gold. So again, if we use the same method of the fixed price, 100 Aether in tier 7 will give you something around 13 million gold. Now, when we look at tier 8 of the Infernal Hordes, we can see that I generated 2500 Aether per hour, and that turned into almost 400 million golds in an hour. And we can see here a big difference between tier 7 and tier 8. So in tier 8, 1 Aether gives you roughly 152,000 gold. So again, going here to our fixed equation per se, we can see that 100 Aether is going to give us about 15 million in gold. Now let's take a look at our items and how many items I was able to collect. If we look in tier 7, the big chest, the one that costs 60 Aether, I was getting an average of 12 items and an average between 3 and 4 items with GAs, and between 0 to 1 uniques every time that I open the chest. Now in tier 8, the average amount of items I was getting 14, between 3 and 4 that had a GA, and I got between 1 or 2 items that were unique. Now, when we look at our regular chest, the one that cost 20 Aether to open, in tier 7, I was getting an average of 4 items, and I will say like between 0 and 1 item drop with a GA. And again, for uniques, it was about the same between 0 and 1. And in the Infernal Hordes tier 8, I was getting between 4 and 5 items every time that I open it. And from those, I did get a little bit more with AGA. So I will say between, 0, 1, and sometimes 2. And uniques, surprisingly, when I was running this test, it was a little bit low. So I will continue to test this and see if there was something wrong in here. But usually you should get better uniques or more uniques in tier 8 when you open the normal chest. Now, what does this mean in terms of item? I was getting between 120 to 150 items per run, and when you salvage all of them, you can have more crafting materials to do all the master work that you need. So make sure that if you're going to use all your ether in the items chest, that you have in your inventory and stash 120 to 150 slots open so you can store all of them and then salvage them. That's it for today, guys. If you found this video useful, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button so you don't miss out of any of my content. I also stream on Twitch every week where I help other community members with Tormented boss runs, Uber Lilith gear, and other activities. And lastly, if you are looking for people to play with, we have an active Discord server with lots of good people who are willing to help other members. I'll catch you in the next one. Have a great day.